Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys had a great weekend. It's Sunday night. Bitcoin's pumping over the weekend, which is nice to see. And then we really have only two stories to talk about here today, which is going to be on Cleanspark. Cleanspark tweeted on X that they reached 20 exahash plus. They didn't exactly say how much, but they did that. So we'll take a look at what that means for us. Well, one thing it means is they actually reached their goal here. So they said they're going to get to 20 exahash by the end of June. They did that. We'll look at that. Then we'll also look at the miners here as far as how did they do last week against Bitcoin as well. And then we'll look at the latest enterprise value for Exahash for the miners as well. And then we'll get into you guys' Q&A side of things here. So should be pretty quick and easy. And as always, you guys know the drill here, not financial advice. And thank you so much for coming in to watch this. But here's my disclosure as always, right? For entertainment only, do your own research. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners on Friday, right? We didn't do a stream on Friday. Everybody's busy. Everybody's out partying, enjoying the weekend. So we're catching up on a little bit here today. Excuse me. And Bitcoin, as you can see here, has had a nice run up here on Saturday, or actually today, actually more so than on Saturday. On Saturday was only up a little bit here. It was, and I'm missing some indicators here. Why are my indicators missing here? I can't see where that's at. Let's see if we can refresh it. Sorry about that. I just noticed that my indicators are gone. There we go. Okay, indicators are back in line. Okay, there we go. So Saturday we were up slightly, 0.95%, almost 1%, so that was good. Today we were up nicely, almost 3%, 2.93%. We closed at 62,668. Now in the new day going into tomorrow, we are currently up 1.37% again. That's a good sign there. I mean, we're starting to kind of go back up a little bit here, which I love. I'm sure you guys love that too. But it was nice to see that happening over the weekend. We can see that the Bitcoin futures are also up quite a bit here. Those are up 6% right now. They got it at 6,400 for BTC right now. And that is based on for Monday. So we may not have that gap here on Bitcoin and Bitcoin futures here, which might be pretty good. We'll have to see where it comes out tomorrow morning, but we may not have that. But yeah, so that's looking pretty good there right now. Miners on Friday didn't do so well. A lot of them were in the red. We only had a couple that were in the green here. BitDeer was in the green, almost 5%. DMG was up just slightly, 0.68%. Marathon was up almost 1%, 0.97. Riot up 0.22. Stronghold was up 1.42. And Wolf was up 0.91, almost 1% as well. WGMI and BitQ were down as well on those. So not a good day on Friday. Looks like June for us is going to be pretty much a red month. Yep. Yeah. June, we're down 11.33% in June so far. So we basically gave up pretty much all the gains that we had back in May. In May, we were up 14%, and we closed at 68,000. In June, we closed at 60,000.325 roughly. And we're starting out, looks like the new month of July, which is typically a really good month for us historically. We've seen a lot more green months in July than we have in red, so that's looking pretty good as well. So hopefully July will play out that way where we have a nice green month as well, meaning that the miners should do much better going forward as well into July. So that's something to look forward to there as well. Okay, but that is it on it. Actually, we were looking at Bitcoin futures here. Let's take a look at the monthly here on Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin, yeah, was definitely a red month here. And we're starting out a green month here as well. Okay, let's get into the stories that we do have here. The one major one here is Cleanspark. They reported on X here, and this is from Matthew Schultz. He reported, we challenged our team to exceed 20 exahash before the end of June. Mission accomplished. Cleanspark exceeds 20 exahash. They didn't say by how much, but they exceeded it. So that's great news, right? That was one of the concerns we had with Cleanspark was, are they going to be able to buy infrastructure, build out fast enough to get to the targets they set for themselves? 20 exahash by the end of June. They got there. So mission accomplished there. And then we got to get them to 32 exahash by the end of this year. So meaning another 12 exahash roughly that they have to install. They have been on a buying spree. They bought Grid here recently. They bought 5 sites in Georgia as well. So they are doing all the right things, I think, to get to that number that they need to get by the end of the year. They may have to buy a little bit more, but I think they're pretty close to being, at least infrastructure-wise, I think they're pretty close to getting to where they need to get to by the end of the year to reach 32 exahash, okay? Now it's just a matter of them building it out, improving the infrastructure there, improving the megawatts, getting those up to where they need them to be as well. Okay, so if we look at Cleanspark here really quick on my sheet here, This is as of Friday here. Stock price was at $15.95. They still have a market cap of $3.6 billion. And going down here to where my numbers are at, I have them between $14.92, so roughly $15 and $22. I think they're kind of fairly valued, but on the low end side of things here. And then with the machines that we got installed here, just based on what they reported, which was not much there, we'll get more update. I think maybe not tomorrow, but we'll get a probably good update from them on Tuesday. The only one that usually reports on the first day of the month is Bitfarms, so we'll get an update from Bitfarms tomorrow. Cleanspark may report also. They have surprised us in the past as well, but I'm guessing maybe Tuesday we'll get an update from Cleanspark here. But I did install about 2 exahash of these 200 terahash miners and have them running for about 3 days here on the month. So that would give them a revenue of about 27.4 million, which is a little bit higher than they had in May, which was 27.1 million roughly. We'll have to also see how much they get in Bitcoin transaction fees. I'll have to run the numbers on that as well tomorrow to see where those came in at. But yeah, overall, this is really good news, right? This is something that we wanted to see. We got to see it. They got there. And I think this gives me a little bit more confidence in them getting to the 32 exahash later on this year as well. Okay, but that's it on that one. And then let's take a look at how the miners have performed against Bitcoin here last week. And then we'll get into also the enterprise value for per petahash for the miners with the latest numbers that we do have for them. So on this chart, as always, we look at the miners, how far they've come up from the 52-week lows and how far away they are from the 52-week highs. And the top bars are how far they've come up from the 52-week highs. So TeraWulf has recently, just now, in this past week, surpassed Cleanspark. Cleanspark has been the leader here for, gosh, I don't know how many weeks now. It's been probably at least 7, 8, maybe 12 weeks or so that they've been the leader here. And appreciation in price over the 52 weeks from their 52-week lows. TeraWulf has just now taken over them. So TeraWulf is up 400%, Cleanspark up 371%, IREN up 304%, BitDeer 270%, Core up 256%, Bitfarms is up 179%, Marathon 177%, Hut just recently, right, this past week, kind of flipped a little bit here on us. It's done a better job here than Bitcoin. Bitcoin's up only 142%, and then Hut 8 is up 142.6%. So those are all the stocks that have been kind of outperforming here. I mean, Hut, you could say that they're at least performing as well as Bitcoin is. Not better, but some of the other guys here have definitely outperformed Bitcoin more so than others. Some of the laggards that we do have here are Cypher, BitDigital, Hive, and Riot. Riot. At one point last year, they were actually valued more than Marathon was. I think it was like right around the summertime. And then we had a flip happening where Marathon just kind of took off and outpaced Riot. And Riot has been on what do you call this? Way lagging behind, I guess you could say, the other miners here recently. And that is actually surprising for Riot. Riot has issues. We know about the issues with Rockdale. The machine's not working, curtailment, other things as well. But they have a huge growth plan going forward for this year. And maybe the investors are just waiting to see if they can fix their operations to have a much better uptime. And the other side of this might be also that investors are not as keen on them possibly trying to buy out Bitfarms. Right, that's the only thing I can think of that's really holding the stock down currently. It's just their operations or this whole interest in Bitfarms. Whereas you can see Bitfarms has done much better than Riot has, so maybe that has something to do with it as well. I don't know for sure, but that's kind of what we're seeing here. Now, as far as how far the miners are away from the 52-week highs here, we can see TeraWulf is pretty close, 14% roughly, Core only 13%, and then Bitcoin's only 18% from its 52-week highs here. And then everybody else is kind of like in the 20s. IREN is 24% away, Cleanspark in the 30s, Bitfarms 30s, Marathon 40s, then you got a couple in the 50s as well, like Riot and Hive here currently. Okay, looking at the last week performance here, so I track it Friday to Friday for Bitcoin and the miners, and we can see here that Bitcoin at that point is actually down last week 0.6% or 6%, sorry, and then Riot is only down 4%. Hive is actually flat for the week. Marathon was up 3, Core up 4, TeraWulf up 7, BitDeer up 8. BitDigital up 20%, and Hut 8 actually outperformed everybody here this past week, up 21%. Some of the laggards that we have here is Cleanspark being down 8%, Cypher down 9%, Bitfarms down 13%, and IREN being down 15%. So I think we're seeing some of these miners that have had a nice run up here recently, kind of getting a little rotation going into some of the other miners that haven't performed as well, potentially as well. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here on the 1 week. If we look at the 4 weeks here, we can see Hut 8 still outperforming everybody else here. It's up 55%. They had a nice deal come through for them last week with Co2. where they invest $150 million into the company for their growth into AI potentially. And then we have, who else? TeraWolf up 44% as well. BitDeer up 41%. BitDigital up 22%. Core up 20%. Bitcoin is actually down 13%. So we've seen a lot of miners actually outperform Bitcoin here. Pretty much everybody here, everybody has outperformed them actually. I mean, there's nobody else that's down 13 or less. So things are starting to kind of shake up a little bit here. Excuse me. And sorry if you hear my dog's barking upstairs. I'm sure she's seeing something. But going on here, we got on the 8 weeks, we can see Core up 155%. So that's the best performer there, followed by IREN, 136%. Then we would have TeraWolf along with Hut8, BitDeer. Right, so things have kind of swapped around here in the last 8 weeks. Before we had Cleanspark being one of the leaders here in that. And then who else do we have here? We got Cypher. So everybody else has pretty much performed better than Bitcoin. Riot is kind of flat with Bitcoin here as well. Then going into 12 weeks, we can see here that Bitcoin is down 10% from 12 weeks ago. Core is up huge, 174% from 12 weeks ago, along with IREN, 124%. And then we would have TeraWolf up 81%, Hut8 up 72% as well. And let's see, did anybody... Yeah, there's a couple that underperformed Bitcoin here in the last 12 weeks. So we got Riot and Cleanspark and Cypher is pretty much in line with Bitcoin as well. So we had another red week, more or less, to it. We had the last 2 weeks kind of being in the red. The prior weeks we had more in the green. Here you can see that. And I'm guessing that we'll probably flip forward, going forward into July, where we might see a couple more weeks in the green here with the miners and with Bitcoin as well. But we'll see where that leads us to. Okay. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, enterprise metrics. This is one of the things that we wanted to get to as well really quick, just to see where things are stacking up right now. So enterprise value per exahash, is basically enterprise value minus, or it's market cap plus debt minus cash and HODL. And this is the way things are shaping up right now as of Friday. We can still see that on the current hash rate valuation, we can see Hive is still the most undervalued here currently. Hut8 is the most overvalued. And the only reason I can think of that is maybe they are getting more valued on their potential for AI than anything else, because their operations for, well, one, they haven't provided the May production updates. We don't know if they're going to provide operations at all updates going forward. They're taking a step back and reevaluating things, whatever that means, right? So if they don't provide operational updates for June, we'll probably kick them out here, because I need the data in order to see where they are going forward. So Hut8 might be on the chopping block here, but we'll see. After that, we got TeraWolf up 185 million per exahash, right? That's really high here for them as well. BitDeer up 174 million, Marathon 154. I think that's pretty well valued. Cleanspark at 149 as well. Bitfarms 140. You can see the rest here, how those all stack up here. But the interesting part is when we look at the future hash rate growth for these guys, we can now see that BitDeer, TeraWolf, and Hut8 are still way up top here. And some of these other guys that have more growth, right? Hut8 doesn't have any growth really. They're running on older machines. They haven't replaced anything. TeraWolf has some growth here. BitDeer has more growth into 2025, but they also have the ASICs. They have a bunch of different business segments as well. BitDigital, not much growth here, but they do have the huge AI play where they get 97 million roughly from AI, HPC side of things. Marathon has huge growth going forward. Core is another one that has a huge HPC thing going, but it's not going to be until 2025. Cypher has some pretty good growth here, not much this year, more so into 2025. Cleanspark has huge growth this year. Bitfarms has huge growth this year. IREN has huge growth this year, right? Along with Riot. So I'm thinking that some of these guys here are a little bit more undervalued for their future hash rate going forward, which I think we might have. What might happen is some of these guys might start flipping some of these guys over here, down here eventually, once Bitcoin starts kind of going up a little bit higher in value. And the reason for that is I'm seeing here like IREN is 92 million below Cleanspark now 96 million, right? So those look like the ones that might start flipping the other miners and price appreciation going forward potentially. We'll see if that happens along with Bitfarms, right? Riot, same thing, 57 million below. Marathon, 66 million. Hut8, like I said, Hut8 is just a mess right now with the data that I have. So some of these guys might start flipping the other miners going forward. But we'll see what happens, okay? And that's it. Let's see what you guys have to say. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, we'll get into that right now. As always, my little sales pitch here, all of these spreadsheets, all of these charts and everything else is available to my Patreon members. That is available to you guys with a link down in the description of each video. And that's $8 a month. You might be able to find still a couple spots at $5 or $4. And then if you pay the month or the annual subscription for it, you get 10% off as well. So there's a little discount for you. on that. And this is the way that I make money from you guys, is you guys supporting me here, YouTube viewers, you guys watching here as well, watching the commercials, things like that on YouTube. This is how I really make my money. I get emails constantly throughout the week on different companies wanting me to show their products. If I don't use it, I'm not going to waste your guys' time trying to show it to you guys as well. So I greatly appreciate all of the Patreon members, all you viewers here. Just want to say thank you. I probably don't say it enough. I probably should say it more. But that is it. That's my sales pitch here. And let's get into your guys' Q&A side of things. See what you guys have to say. Have any questions on anything? So here we go. Q&A. We are live. Okay. Let's see. The first question here is from Ronald. Question: how many more days until CORZ warrants turn into regular stocks? And how many more days until CORZ penny transfer into regular shares as well? I think from what I've heard and what I've read a little bit on it is, I believe there has to be like a 20-day average on the stock price or something like that, roughly. If it can get above the warrant exercise price, at that point that will happen. So I think we're getting close to that. The stock has been up pretty nicely here. Let's see here. Let's take a look at the chart here really quick on CORZ. Let's see your screen. Let's go to here. So CORZ, if you look at it here, it's been, let's see, that's the monthly. We're going to go to daily. It's been trading. What is the stock? What is the exercise price on it? It's like $6 something for the first one, and then $8 something for the other one, right? So we've had at least, let's say, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 days already. So I think we need maybe like 3 more days, and that might happen. But there might be people that know better on that than I do. But I think we're getting pretty close to it as it is. Let's see. Let's see. Can IREN 2x and DMG 5x? Depending what the time frame is that you're looking for. I think IREN can possibly x, like probably 5 or more x from where it is right now. DMG, I think DMG could like 2 to I would say probably 2 to 4, 2 to 5x maybe. DMG does not have a lot of growth forward. They're a smaller miner as well. But Bitcoin going up can lift all boats, right? Can lift all miners up as well. Let's see. Hi, Seb. Just wondering your thoughts on Peter Thiel that most of Bitcoin value has been extracted. I don't agree with that. I think we're still very in the early stages. For comparison, if you look at internet, right? Internet, I think we're still at the dial-up stage of internet evolution with Bitcoin. We're possibly getting close to now where you would have like the DSL, right? But I think we're still very early stage before we get to like the gigawatt, not gigawatt, mega, not gigawatt, what is that? Gigabit internet speeds, right? We're not there yet. I think we're still very early on. Seb, at what price do I start selling Riot? $50? I mean, depending when you got into it, right? If you got into it at a pretty low price on it, like last year, you might be able to have a nice profit at that point, right? I mean, you probably have a good profit now, even if you got in then. So it just depends on when you got into it, and then what is your risk tolerance for a bumpy ride going forward. And if you have profits, take some profits off the table. Maybe let the rest of it run a little bit longer, see where it goes. But I think Riot could possibly get more than $50 per share this cycle. Marcus says, you are quite literally the only YouTuber that I don't skip commercials for. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, you guys are the ones that are supporting me. Like I said, I get countless emails a week trying to, do a, what do they call it? Sponsorship or something like that. But it's like, if I don't use it, I'm pretty sure you guys aren't going to use it. So I'm not going to waste your guys' time with it. Let's see. Seb, do you think the BTC crosses 73,800 this time or again will create a lower high? I think we will go above that. I think we're starting to maybe turn around a little bit here. We had a nice rally in Bitcoin and the miners and everything else. We needed a little bit of a healthy pullback. The RSI has come back down. We'll see where it goes forward. But I think we are looking maybe getting towards like 80, 90,000 potentially before we have another little pullback here. But we'll see. Do you think that Cleanspark will hit $60 to $80 in this cycle? My original conservative targets for Cleanspark was $70. So that's right between where I was thinking it's possibly going to go to. From where it's at right now, I think that is still, what, a 5x roughly, right? So 5x, they're at $15 roughly or 16. that would give him to possibly, that would get him probably to $80 at that point. So I think somewhere around there is definitely doable, depending on where Bitcoin goes. Bitcoin goes up north of 150 or 200,000, then it could go even higher than that. Let's see. Hi, mate. If you just got hold of 2,000 and had to spend it on opening on miners, which one or multiple would you pick right now? I think the ones that are the most undervalued right now would be possibly Bitfarms right now. I think that one is still kind of undervalued, and that's because of all the stuff that's going around with it, right? The no CEO news, the Riot trying to buy him out as well. I think for that reason, it's quite undervalued here. Who else would we have in there? We would have possibly, I think if you can get IREN at like closer to $10, I think that would be a good one as well. Cleanspark around $15, I think that'd be a good one. Who else do we have here that I think is, I think Hive is also pretty undervalued right now as it is as well. But they don't have a lot of growth. I think somebody has mentioned it in the comments, one of my videos, that IREN, the CEO at Hive, has said that they're targeting to get to 10 exahash or possibly 15 exahash by the end of this year. If they come out and say that and do that, that would be, I think, huge news for the stock. They're at 5 something right now, so that would be great there. There's still a couple miners that I think are still way undervalued. And then also depending, what's your risk tolerance, right, on those things. If you want to get, let's say you want to get 3x on any, well, if you're just going to get like 3x or 2x on any of these guys, I think you just put it into any one, you'll get that. When you get to 5x, I think that becomes a little bit more challenging. So you're looking at maybe some of the topper miners like IREN, Cleanspark, Bitfarms, Riot, Marathon potentially as well, right? And then if you're looking at like 10x, then, geez, if you're looking at 10x, then you got to go down to maybe the lower tier miners potentially, right? They may pop on that. For some reason, they have less shares, right? That can pop the stock up more. And then people might be also looking to get into miners that haven't had a huge run up yet. So something to keep in mind. Let's see. Mark says, Mark is likely going to gap up tomorrow at open. That would be nice. Jane says, hi, Seb. Hi, Jane. Let's see. Hello, Seb. We missed you yesterday. Do you think the Q2 results will be not strong enough? They might not be where we thought maybe they were going to be, right? If Bitcoin closes out, well, it pretty much closed out today at 60-some thousand. It was just shy of, what was it, 65,000? Let me take a look at it here. Where did it close today? Bitcoin closed at, what was it, 62,000. It's up a little bit more. So we're basically down from where we were in Q1, which was like 70,000. So the miners are going to be down about 8,000 on HODL, right? So that's going to have an impact more so on Marathon. Marathon has a huge HODL there, followed by Hut 8, Riot, and then Cleanspark as well, right? Cleanspark has a little bit lower HODL than the other guys. But that's going to have an impact on that because they've started to take advantage of the FSB rules, which means you get to reevaluate your Bitcoin holdings at the end of the quarter, right? So they're going to take a little bit of a hit on that. We've also had the halving event happening. So they had pretty much partially in April, you had 19 days where they were mining the 6.25 BTC per day. After the 19th, they were at 3.125 Bitcoin, right? That's a huge cut in revenue. But we also had the transaction fees go up quite nicely just right after the halving event because of runes. So that helped them out. April was actually a pretty good month for them. May and June were a little bit worse, right? If they weren't growing their hash rate at that point, they were seeing definitely a little bit more decrease in revenue. So we know for the most of the part that Q2 numbers are not going to be great, right? They might be close. Some might be able to squeak out a win there. After that, I think people are going to be looking forward to Bitcoin possibly going up in value because we're past the halving event. Usually on average between like 60 and I'd say 80 days after the halving event is when Bitcoin usually starts to run up in value. I think a lot of investors are going to be going forward looking. So I don't know if we're going to take like a big hit on the quarterly results possibly. Let's see. What do you think is causing this small move of 5% plus over the weekend? Do you think it will sell off on Monday morning, or do you think the momentum will continue throughout the week? Oh gosh, I would like to think that the momentum is going to continue throughout the week, but we really don't know what's going to happen there. I think people are just happy to have June over with. We were down on Bitcoin. The miners were up, right? So we've seen this before where the miners start front running Bitcoin. So I'm starting to think maybe Bitcoin starts going up here this week. We'll see where it goes, but it's hard to tell. Let's see. Bella Chaw says, I have to agree, BitDigital 2. Yeah, BitDigital 2. BitDigital, I'd like to see them grow more so in their hash rate for self-mining as well. I'd like to see that a little bit more, but they have great HPC business going right now. They're going to be doing well. Let's see. Seb, if BTC hovers around 70K for the next 2 to 3 months, do you think Riot will also stay the same at 9 to 10, or can Riot go to 15 to 20 even if BTC stands chopping? They might be able to go up a little bit here. I don't know if they're going to be able to go up to 15 and 20, but I think they might be able to go up if they provide good numbers for June, where they got a lot more machines installed and their average operating hash rate increased nicely, right? So we want to see that operational efficiencies improve there. If that can happen, I think maybe at that point the stock may go up. Let's see. All right, we talked about that one already. Yeah. So if you guys put in a question in there, be patient. It takes me a little while to catch up to you guys' questions here a little bit. Let's see. Trying to find question or comments. Let's see. Okay. Well, we got our first, let me see, where is that popping up? There it is. First super chat. So thank you so much. Thank you, Seb. I use ad block. So here's my question. Keep up the great work. Is 95,000 BTC the next technical level high? Technical analysis high. Let's see here. 90. That I don't know. I'm not well versed in performing TA going forward. I can look to see where we are right now, where we might be going up or down. But going forward on Bitcoin, geez, that's tough. I think we hit at what? What did we hit there? We hit 73,800 was our previous top here. Looks like this was back in March. So from the bottom, I'm guessing probably like in the 80s or 90s potentially before we start coming back down a little bit. It's just a cool off period. We need those cool off periods, but I'm just looking at the chart here. You guys don't see it, but that's kind of what I'm seeing at least, where I would think things would go. But we'll see. Let's see. Question is Riot still massively shorted? It's still shorted. Riot was shorted. Marathon was shorted. A lot of the big guys were being shorted here. I don't know what that has changed. We'll get those numbers for it when we do the miners shorted, how much they're being shorted month over month here. And that'll be out probably like a week or two after the beginning of the new month, so July, somewhere in there. I'll start pulling in that data at that point. Let's see. Hey, Seb, I have around 2,000 in cash and was wondering if I should invest in miners. Which is the miners that? Okay, we already talked about that one. Let's see. Woodstock says, I agree. HUD is hiding important information. Investors need, I believe this is sketchy practice unless they become transparent, as CEO said when he took over the position. Who is their relations? The public relations is Sue Ennis, and Sue Ennis has been great. So I reached out to Sue, and Sue says that she's been kind of fighting with Asher a little bit and the legal team about being transparent, right? One of the things that they said is they want to be more and more transparent. Well, they were starting to do pretty good at that, but then just in May for whatever reason, I'm guessing the numbers were pretty bad for them for their self-mining operations, but they have other business segments as well. Why not prop up those other business segments? The HPC stuff that they have, the data centers that they have, the managed services that they have. Unless you're having issues on all three of those and possibly the self-mining as well, okay, maybe at that point it might make sense not to put out a main update. But even at that point, I think you've been putting out updates for like the past 3 years. Continue doing that because I think it's definitely a good thing going forward. But just prop up your other business segments and say, this business segment that we're in with self-mining, we are evaluating it, we are working on it, we're looking for miners that are, at this cost or something like that. We are looking to still grow that. And I think the market would be okay with that. But when you stop providing updates, that's never good. Let's see here. CleansparK Reaches all-time high. Good for Mara. Well, Mara's mining it, so I think that would be good. They're going to be mining more for it. But we'll have to see where the network hash rate for CleansparK goes, difficulty of things like that, depending on how many miners get installed there and stuff like that. So we'll see. But I think overall it's pretty good. Let's see here. Did the stock only deal with grid because further Cleanspark dilution? Did the stock only deal with grid because further Cleanspark dilution? We know that it's an all share-based deal from Cleanspark to grid. And at the current price, I think it comes out to be like, 3 million something shares. So it's not much. It's less than, what did we come out to? I think it was like, I can't remember the percentage, but it was a pretty low percentage of that. So I'm okay with that. Question, what do you expect from Bitfarms hearing and their 12 exahash target? Well, they put out some more pictures of miners being installed, when was it, Thursday? On X, that Baycombe facility is getting more miners. They have a couple more shipments to get in there, and that was on Thursday. So I'm thinking they're going to be possibly pretty close to that, to the 12. I don't know if they're going to be able to hit it. They might be close. They might be a little shy of that. Even if they get to like 11 exahash, I think that would be good. So we'll find out tomorrow. I think they're like usually the ones that always provide the first day of the new month, the production for the past month. So we'll find out tomorrow what that's going to be. What price do you see Cleanspark and MicroStrategy by end of July? By end of July, depending where Bitcoin goes. I mean, Bitcoin goes up to 80,000. We can see Cleanspark getting back up to the 20s. MicroStrategy at that point should follow Bitcoin, I think. Typically, MicroStrategy follows Bitcoin by like 2x usually. So if Bitcoin goes up 100%, MicroStrategy usually goes up 200%. There are times where MicroStrategy can outrun Bitcoin a little bit, outpace it, but then it pulls back down, to reality a little bit. But that's kind of what I see there. Tone says, looks like a pump tomorrow. Do you think weak June earnings will bring miners back down? I don't think so. I think a lot of people are more forward looking at that, and there are a lot of them are expecting it to be kind of bad. That's why, and plus we've seen the miners actually front run on Bitcoin a little bit here last week and the week prior too. So I don't think so, but I could be wrong on that. We'll see. Let's see. What would you buy at this price? At the current prices that we're at with everything, I've been buying still some more Bitfarms. I think that's still way undervalued. I bought it last week. I'll see if I can still buy maybe more some this week. Other than that, I think CORZ has huge potential going forward as well, right? We know that the warrants are going to get exercised here maybe within the next couple days, maybe a week or so. That should help them out potentially if they get the debt paid off and then they can get cash. That way they can grow their hash rate as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get news on that when that happens. So I think there's still growth there. Who else? IREN, Riot, if they can fix their operations as well. I think Riot's pretty well beaten down right now from things. Marathon as well, right? Marathon just has to grow, fix their operations. There's growth there. Cypher, I think, is pretty well valued right now, but Bitcoin going up, I think that one's going to go up along with TeraWolf. I mean, basically all the miners will go up. It just depends on how much growth they have this year. Some might do a little bit better than others, and we do have this rotation happening from some of the miners from time to time, where some of the bigger miners will front run a little bit here. They'll cool off a little bit, and then that value from those will drive into the other miners as well. So we have that happening, but that's kind of what I would look at. Cleanspark and Bitfarms. So if I was looking to buy right now, and this is just my own thoughts on it, I would buy Bitfarms right now. I think it is way more undervalued than Cleanspark is right now. So I think there might be a little bit more upside potential. But if Cleanspark or if Bitfarms gets bought out by Riot, if that goes through for some reason, well, then that might change things. Let's see. Why is BitDigital not having a run? It ran and then dipped again. They have already established 92 million in annual contracts. Why people are not valuing HPC as they are with future hash rate? They are. The only thing with BitDigital is they're asset light. They don't have any infrastructure that they own themselves. They host everything. I think maybe that's the only thing there. Possibly. It could be. We'll have to see going forward. But right now, that's kind of what I'm thinking is that. And they don't have anything announced for their self-mining as far as buying miners and going into this year to get to 6 exahash, which is, I think, their target. If they provide something like that, or if we get news that they start providing buying infrastructure as well, I think that might be a bullish case for it as well. But, that's kind of what I'm seeing here, at least right now. Hey, Seb, from June 2020 to January 2021, Riot went from $2 to $7. Chance Bitfarms is last cycle's right. No, and that's mainly because the number of shares that are out there, right? Riot at that point had a lot less shares, right? So you needed the stock price to be much higher for the market cap valuation. Bitfarms has close to like 400 million shares right now. So I don't see that happening for Bitfarms right now getting to 70 because that would get them at, 28 billion market cap, I think, something like that. So I don't see that happening. I see them somewhere between like 10 and 20 billion market cap potentially, depending where Bitcoin goes. So that would get them On the higher end, I'm thinking maybe like 25 or north of 25 on the higher end. But generally, I'm thinking between like $15 and like $25. But we'll see. Hello, Sebastian. I was just wanted to let you know you're doing a great job for U.S. investors. Thanks so much. I just wanted to let you know I've added 40,000 shares of Bitfarms. Oh, well, thank you so much to begin with. And you're very welcome. But yeah, that's a lot of shares there. Congrats. I'm sure you'll do fine with them. Let's see. Do you think cashing out by end of year is too early? When are you thinking to cash out? Okay, that's still something I'm trying to formulate, but the way I say it, we're still early in this cycle, so I don't know where the top is going to be. Nobody really knows. My estimate for Bitcoin was going to be about 180,000 this year, or this cycle at least, right? Things could change. We were thinking that Bitcoin's going to get 200,000 in 2021. Never materialized. We got to 69,000. But one of the things that some are saying is that with the ETFs, some of the managed funds are going to be possibly, rebalancing their portfolios, right? So that usually happens in December. So we may have a sell-off in December a little bit on Bitcoin miners, things like that. That might happen. That's for tax reasons and, basically locking in gains for the year. So we may have a dip there. We'll see how big the dip is. But I'm thinking I probably won't be selling until maybe like the first quarter of 2025, somewhere around there, depending where Bitcoin gets to, depending where the miners get to. I have some thoughts on where I would like to see the miners at before I start selling. But we'll have to look at the charts of Bitcoin, where it's going, the RSI. We'll look at the stock to flow ratio. We'll look at the power law ratio, or the law chart is there as well for Bitcoin. We'll see where those things are looking like, and then we'll make a decision on that. So we'll have to keep an eye on a lot of things. Hi, Sebastian. Approximately how much CORZ Scientific shares will be diluted when it comes to warrants? Are they still undervalued at current prices considering warrants at HP and HPC? So once the warrants get issued, I think they're going to be like at 404 million shares, which they're at like 177 million shares right now, I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that's kind of what I've been hearing on it. And then based on that, do I think that they are currently undervalued? So a lot of their growth, or let me pull my spreadsheet up here for you guys. We'll take a look at core together. So core, right now, this is mainly, my numbers are mainly based on their self-mining, right? Doesn't really include much of their hosting. Does not even include the HPC side of the business right now, right? This is backwards looking, the last 3 quarters, current quarter that we're in. I'm in between $19.32 to $28, so almost $29, right? At that point, if we say that the dilution is going to be about 100%, right, because they're going from 177 million shares, which I have them at right now, to 400 million, that's basically 100% dilution. So if we do that, we could cut these numbers down in half. So that way we're looking at approximately $9.65 on the low end to, what is it going to be, almost $14.50 on the high end. They're at 930, so I would think that they are getting close to being fairly valued, maybe a little bit on the lower end side of things. But this does not take into account also the HPC business they're going to have next year, which should start somewhere around like this time, right around June, if they can get everything retrofitted and built out that they need to for CoreWeave to start energizing their servers. So at that point, that's going to give them, what is that, 200 some million, 300 some million a year at that point, or 200 some, because then the other contract may not happen until late 2025, right? Because they have to build that out as well. So, I mean, right now we have them at, let me see here, last 3 quarters and the current quarter that we were in at approximately 457 million here. So that's definitely, so that's for the year. So that's still more than what their HPC business is going to be bringing in. But the HPC business is supposed to be much more profitable than the 75%, right? They're supposed to be like around 80 or something like that % on that. So the numbers will change on that. Plus, if they have this continued business in Bitcoin mining, we could basically double that and double their numbers again here. So probably, to just throwing it out there, we could be somewhere close to these numbers again with the HPC business as well. Okay? Hope that can make sense. Depending where Bitcoin goes, because that could also raise things up. If Bitcoin's like 120,000, 150,000 by this time next year, things could definitely get much more frothy and it could be much higher priced than this. Okay? That's not taking that into account either, right there. Let's see. Any update on Riot saga with Bitfarms? Last I heard, Riot had 14.9. That's the last I heard also. This was reported last week. And they also took out their bid to buy them out at $2.03. They were going to court in Canada with a stock tribunal there to see if they could get, Riot was trying to get Bitfarms to take out the poison pill, basically the shareholder rights bill. Don't know. I haven't seen any response on that as far as if the court ruled on that at all. So we'll have to wait on that to see what happens there. Question, hey Seb, do you already have calculated the future hash price, enterprise value per exahash for year-end 2025, especially for Bitfarms and Riot? Based on where we are right now, I have calculated that a little bit, but we can only look at right now where we are in the cycle, what the stock prices are right now. We don't know what the stock prices are going to be in the future, but based on what we have here now, I just did that at the beginning of the video for you guys, and let me pull that up as well here right now so you can kind of see it. Enterprise metrics, here you go. So here's the enterprise metrics. You can see where Bitfarms is at right now, where they're going to be potentially based on their future hash rate growth and how they're being valued right now on that. So this leads me to believe, like I said before, Cleanspark, Bitfarms, IREN, Riot, Hive does not have much growth here this year, so I think that might still come up a little bit. I think they're way undervalued from where they should be, but not a lot of growth, but I think they should be much higher up in this position, whereas like Cleanspark, Bitfarms, IREN, Riot, Marathon's pretty up there already as it is. Should be much up higher in this this side of things. So that leads me to believe that those guys are more undervalued for the future hash rate growth than some of the other miners as well. Okay. Let's see. Andy says, I really don't have a good impression on Asher from Hut 8. Nothing personal. It's just that he was one of the co-founders of USBTC, which in my opinion would have gone bankrupt without the merger with Hut 8. Yes, that was a lot of the stuff that was floating around there, was that without the lifeline from Hut 8, they possibly would have been in bankruptcy. Let's see here. Ed says, did you watch the recent videos from Hut 8 on McNally Money? I was not impressed at all. I did watch them. Yeah, I don't like them going back on their word a little bit when it comes to being more transparent. But the investors, them also, I mean, at least this is the way I kind of took it. Maybe I took it the wrong way. But it almost sounds like the retail investors are not as savvy or as sophisticated as the investment funds are, right? Like Kotouche, right? Kotouche, they were highly speaking of Kotouche, how they understand it, how the, things like that. Maybe that is the case. I don't know. But that's the kind of way I took it. And that's why they're kind of like thinking, well, retail wants these monthly metrics, the investment firms and these funds, they don't really care about them. They look at the numbers anyways, and maybe they have insight information that we don't have. That could be the case too. But yeah, I'm not too thrilled with it. I need to see what they're going to do going forward. They keep talking about energizing or monetizing electrons. Well, let's see how that goes for them. Let's see. Do you have any guess what the current Bitcoin multiplier is on the miners? The miners typically would get, like, if Bitcoin goes up 2x, you could, on average, guess that the miners would get like a 6x, right? I like to use a little bit lower numbers than that. I like to use like 3x or 5x on that just to be a little bit conservative on it. But I think that's what you're talking about there. Let's see. Andy says, and now I'm hearing about Sue having differences with Asher after the previous CEO, Jamie, left the company in what looked like a coup to me. I mean, yeah, who knows? I mean, Jamie didn't do well either. She was at the helm. She did buy data centers there, which was fine. It's bringing in steady revenue there. But there was really no growth into Bitcoin mining. They did nothing on that. They had issues with sites. They had issues with Validus and things like that. She wasn't, I don't think she was doing a great job there. She was out in all these different speaking events and things like that, but as far as the operations side of things, they didn't do well there. Remember, people, last cycle miners went up 200% and then dropped 60% 4 different times before it all went up 10x in the last 4 months. Never know when the final bottom is before the supermoon. Yeah, you just don't know. Hi, Sub. Does Bitfarms still need to comply with Riot request for special shareholders meeting regarding the board seats? gosh, that's getting into the governance of the board and the SEC. That is a little bit above my understanding of how things work. So I'm trying to figure this out as well as you guys are right now on it. My understanding is that if Riot having 14.9% of the company right now in shares, they can request it. And then I think it's up to the board to then take it up to the shareholders to vote on it, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong here. And then if the shareholders vote on it, then I think it, Riot can present their nominees. And then we would vote on it, I guess, as well. Greg says, please hit the like button for our man Seb. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see. No, excuse me. Everyone is calling for market crash into recession for S&P. Do you think that will happen? And if yes, then likely when? Okay, I think if we're going to see a recession, it's going to be a short-lived recession. I don't think it's going to be a very long one. Right now, we got European banks are lowering rates. We got Canada lowering rates, interest rates. I'm pretty sure the U.S. is going to follow suit pretty soon here. With that, I think that's going to spur the economy a little bit more with having lower interest rates. So if we do get one, I don't think it's going to happen until like sometime late 2025 or maybe into 2026 potentially, right? And it also depends on which kind of president we get here in the United States in November, which will take office in January. We'll see what kind of laws they enact at that point, depending on who it is. So I think it's too early to tell right now. Do you think spreading your risk across multiple miners, or do you prefer focusing on 1, 2, or 3 fast-moving horses? Well, in the beginning, I focused on the ones that I thought that were the most undervalued. So that was, for me, was Cleanspark and Bitfarms. This was going back to 2022, beginning of that. And then I got into IREN as well. And then recently I got into CORZ as well, right? So I think if you're in 2 to 3, maybe even 4 miners, I think that's good there, right? Look for the ones that are still looking a little bit undervalued, the ones that have huge growth. I think then you'll do fine. The question, is there an ETF that focuses on Bitcoin miners? I'm trying to diversify using the divs that I get from BTC ETFs. Yeah, you can get into, there's a couple. So let's see here. The ones that I'm in right now, which I've done pretty well, they're down here. So you got WGMI is one ETF that focuses on miners, BitQ, DAP, and BKCH as well. Those are the ones that you can look into. I'm personally in WGMI and BitQ in my 401k profit sharing plan. On those two. Bitfarms is a Canadian company, and tomorrow is a holiday. Do you think we will hear something tomorrow? Yes, I do think, because they are also trading on NASDAQ, which trades tomorrow, and that's, I think, where a lot of their action is happening from. So I think they will provide something on tomorrow. I could be surprised, and it couldn't be until maybe Tuesday. But I'm guessing they've always provided things recently, at least, on the very first public day of the new month for the prior month information. So I'm expecting that tomorrow. Can you predict when the next ATM may be for Cleanspark based on their OPEX, assuming they continue to hodl? Or do you think these miners that are hodling will start selling at BTC? Yeah, I think they're eventually going to start selling a little bit more so going forward. They were trying to hodl as much as they could because they were just, one, Bitcoin was, rewards were at 6.25, right? Bitcoin per block. Now it's at 3.125, so you had that cut. So a lot of these miners were trying to hold as much as they can before the halving event. They'll continue to do that maybe for a couple more months, but eventually I think they will start selling more and more as we get into a bull run here, but we'll see. And then as far as the ATM, I don't know when Cleanspark is going to use up another ATM. They have the 800 ATM right now to them. I would have to run the numbers on it, but I'm not sure exactly when that would be. Let's see. Any updates on Riot voting regarding dilution? I think that passed. Correct me if I'm wrong. If somebody has Riot shares and you voted on it, I believe that's already been passed by the shareholders there. Sebastian, we know that analysts are trying to determine how to fair assessing the miners. Why is BitDigital not being given fair treatment for their analysis? Sam Tabar interview explained their business. Yeah, I mean, I get their business and everything else. And I agree. I think they're still a little bit undervalued from where they should be realistically. But a lot of these miners are also A lot of these analysts are also looking at infrastructure, right? BitDigital does not have infrastructure. They have good hosts and good customers with the HPC side of the business, but they don't own any infrastructure. So They have a contract with the current customer for what, 3 years? At that time, where will the price of electricity be? Things like that. You don't have any control over it, right? Same thing with their Bitcoin mining. So we'd like to see possibly BitDigital get more into infrastructure play themselves, be not as asset light, maybe do a 50-50 or something like that, or something along those lines, where they actually own their infrastructure. They can have more control over it, things like that. Maybe that's why. That's the only thing I can really think of why BitDigital's not doing that well. Let's see, between CORZ Scientific and BitDigital, I've got 103 and 125 shares working for me. I simply love all the AI HPC Bitcoin miners. I'm going to sit back and watch the money roll in. Cheers. Yeah, congrats. We're still very early on, so be patient. It's going to be a bumpy ride going up. Do you think the presidential debate was a major bull flag for BTC this year, or am I overreacting? I mean, I watched part of it. I don't think they even mentioned Bitcoin at all in that one. I mean, the presidential debate was a huge disappointment, and oh my gosh, for the American, how America is viewed across the world. I think it was not a good sign. We had two elderly people debating on whether or not one's better golfer than the other. I mean, what is that? They should be both in a nursing home already. Let's see here. Are we going to see any major BTC dip before crossing 100,000? I think we will have a little bit of a dip. How big of a dip? Maybe a 20% dip, right? If we get to like 80,000, 85, maybe somewhere around there, we might see a 15%, 20% dip. It's kind of seemed like we've been seeing those throughout the last year and a half or so, right? We'd have a nice rally in Bitcoin, we dip 20% roughly, go back up, we dip again, and we've had that a couple times already. So I would expect that to happen before we hit 100,000. If BitDigital is asset light, please explain why Mara is the biggest market cap. They were asset light for years. Yes, they were asset light for years, but they have been buying more and more infrastructure in the last 6-9 months, right? They've been buying infrastructure here. And the reason they have the biggest market cap is because they were one of the biggest growing into their own self-mining hash rate, right? That was their big sell for the whole time, for a long time was, we're going to be the biggest. We were asset light. We're not spending this. We're spending it on the miners themselves. We're not spending it on infrastructure. We can grow our hash rate really, really quick, right? So that's kind of why. They also have the name recognition there. If you search for Bitcoin miners on like Google or something like that, you're going to find Marathon pops up like 99% of the time as the top one listing. So they have that for them as well, which helps them a lot. That's kind of the way I see it, right? Question, what is the cycle time frame for BTC? We're looking usually at like 12 to 18 months after the event is where we peak, somewhere around there. So we're only 2 months into it, so we're looking at 10 to 16 months now, potentially, somewhere around there. Let's see. Hi Seb, do you know anything about WonderFi technologies? I do not. Have no idea on them. Let's see. Bitcoin is headed back at the moment, 63,000 plus. Nice. Hi Seb, is Cypher goodbye at the current price? I think so. I would like to see Cypher grow more this year. They have a lot of growth going into 25 as well. But excellent operations, great cost of power, really low cost of power. I think they're doing all the right things, and I think they should be valued a little bit more from where they are right now. Hi Sebastian, what are your speculative thoughts on why Bitfarms pushes back the meeting with Riot until this Tuesday? Coincidence with a new Fannie board hire who specializes in mergers. Where did you see that? What are your speculative thoughts on why Bitfarms pushes back the meeting? I'd like to know where you got that information from, because I haven't seen anything like that. Is it in the SEC filings? Sorry, drawing a blank there for a minute. What price so you expect MicroStrategy to be at Bitcoin touches 150,000? So that'd be roughly 2.5x from here. So I would expect MicroStrategy to be like maybe 5x from here, somewhere around there. I would say between 3 to 5x on it. With CORZ warrants also gone as the majority of their debt. Yes. Yeah, that's one thing I mentioned. I think if not all their debt is going to be paid off at that point, and they get like $300 million to invest back in the company, I believe, right? Somewhere around there. Sam with Digital says HPC hash compared to Bitcoin hash is 10 to 1 in terms of revenue. If BTC miners convert to HPC, meaning less BTC mining, leading to increased BTC price. Thoughts? If Bitcoin miners convert to HPC, meaning less Bitcoin mining, leading to increased BTC price. Thoughts? I don't know. I mean, we're seeing. Geez, it's a good question. If there's more miners converting over their megawatts into HPC, that means the miners that are still Bitcoin only plays, right? Bitcoin mining only plays. Those guys should see more revenue in the future going forward, right? Because there's going to be less competition for those BTC from the guys that are in HPC. I guess you could look at it that way. Let's see. Happy Canada Day tomorrow. That's right. Happy Canada Day to all the Canadian, my neighbors, all my neighbors to the north. Clint, hi Seb, hi to you. Let's see. A question: how much can HUT be if BTC hits 150,000 with their current HODL? That would be probably like 2x from where it's at right now, I would imagine, because they're mainly being valued on their HODL before. Now that they have Kochu, I can't even pronounce that doggone name, Kochu, the investment from Kochu for 150 million, that has helped the stock here recently, but I don't know what that's going to do with their self-mining hash rate. Just don't know on that one. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Already covered that one. We went over that one there. David says, hey Seb, my profit taking is like this. If it hits my magic number, I'll sell everything, no matter when that is. If that is, or 2, if it is Q4 25, then I'll sell. Not writing down 80% like 20. Yeah, I mean, most of us are looking to sell here this cycle, regardless of what our profits are going to be. We do not want to write it back down like we did in 2021 and 2022. Especially, when do you think BTC goes boom? I know it's purely speculative, but do you have a month or two that you haven't been thinking about? Gosh, I don't know. I mean, we could be going boom for a while, right? For the next 12 months or so, 12 to 16 months. We could also be in an extended the bull cycle with Bitcoin because of the Bitcoin ETFs, the adoption, the institutions, all of that stuff because of the ETFs. We've already had a different cycle this time around with Bitcoin reaching a new all-time high before the halving event. That's never happened before. So we're going to keep an eye on it, see where things go, but it's very, very hard to tell where things are going to actually end up at. Let's see. Last having years, the BTC bottom was June and again in October before it went crazy after having year. Okay, yeah. So we might be in sometime in 2025. Let's see. Riot announces that they run all of June 12 exahash plus. Do we get a major pump in price? If they are 12, well, they wouldn't be running June all 12. Well, maybe they were at 14 exahash installed on average. If they were running at 12 exahash, if they got to like maybe getting to 16 exahash installed by only 12, I think at that point we should probably get a pump from it. And if we don't get a pump from it, I think the only reason the stock's not going up is because investors are not happy with them going after Bitfarms. That's the only thing I can think of. If their operations are improving everything else, they should get a pump. Let's see. Your special thoughts on Bitfarms' new hire, Fanny, and how she specializes in mergers. Coincidence with the management being delayed with Riot on to Tuesday. No, I think Fanny, what's her name? Last name? I'm trying to blank here. Fanny Phillip, I think, is her last name. Fanny being her first name, Phillip being her last name. But she has a lot of experience with Bitcoin miners in Canada. I think she's on one of the boards there that, not specialized, but that deals with Bitcoin mining regulations and things like that. She's on there. She has plenty of experience with M&As, but the M&A side of things could be also not just with Riot, but it could also be to help them potentially buy other companies out or infrastructure out, right? You want somebody that has that experience in order if you're going to be looking to buy companies going forward, not just to sell your company as well, right? So that's the kind of way I'm looking at it. I'm looking at more at the positive side of things. I try not to think about the negative side of things because, I don't think Bitfarms is still looking to sell to Riot anytime soon. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Hey, so if any miner surprises you by the end of this cycle, which one do you think that would be, both in terms of overperformance and underperformance? Oh, wow. One that surprises me. I got to be honest, based on what I'm seeing here the last 2 years, the way the miners have been operating, uh, I think CleanSpark was one that I bet on early on, right? I saw good things in them, and they haven't disappointed yet, right? So I don't expect them to disappoint going forward. IREN is another case there. Bitfarms has kind of been underperforming here because of what's going on with all the stuff with the board and the FUD and everything else, right? But I think fundamentally, if you look at the numbers for them, the operations, their growth going forward, they should be valued much more. So that one, other than that, who would, with overperformance, gosh, who would surprise me with overperformance? I don't know if anybody would, well, I mean, somebody could surprise me. CleanSpark came out of nowhere, right? 100 petahash in 2021. They're now number 2 in market cap. So it is possible to get that, but we haven't, or at least I haven't seen anything that that will result in that potentially going forward. Things can change, yes, but based on what I'm seeing here, I don't see it right now. As far as underperformance right now, the ones that would possibly shopping for underperformance, I think, would be CleanSpark, right? CleanSpark fell out of grace for whatever reason. Same thing with like IREN, right? Their operations come crap. That would be something that would be surprising to me. That's about it. Let's see. Do you think the miners will go down once again about 98% in the next bear market? To be honest, I'd love it if they did that. If I was able to sell closer to the top this time around, I'm not going to get the top exactly, but if I get close to it, I would be ecstatic. And if they go down another 90% from that, oh my gosh, take the profits that I had this time around, put them back into the miners again, repeat, rinse and repeat. I would love it. But I just don't know. I'm 50-50 on it right now, mainly because the cycle that we're in right now is different, like I keep saying. And we may not see that 80% drop. Maybe we see a 50% drop in the miners only, or 40%, right? I don't know. Bitcoin could continue to go up for years, but just slower after the halving event. So we'll have to see. Hey, Goat, thanks. Just wondering, did you ever look into the CleanSpark gigawatt rumor? I have not. I was busy this weekend with the kids and the family. My kids and wife are actually leaving on Tuesday. They're going to be gone for a month. They're going to be visiting their parents, her family side of things in Europe, and they're going to be gone there. So I've been just getting things ready with them and spending time with them before they take off on me. So I did not, but I will make a note of it before I forget, because I will forget. I got too many things going on here, so bear with me. Let me write this down. CleanSpark gigawatt rumor. Okay, I will take a look at it. I'll have a lot more time when the wife and the kids are in Europe for the summer here to look at that stuff. Let's see. If Riot shows results for BTC mining for June similar to CleanSpark, do we see Riot flipping CleanSpark? I think it's going to take a while for them. Remember, CleanSpark's at 20 exahash now. They would, I think, would have to flip CleanSpark in hash rate growth in order for that to happen potentially. Question, what's your thoughts on Cypher? I see it way undervalued. I think it's also way undervalued, but they're also... So Cypher has great electrical costs, great infrastructure, things like that. They got Black Pearl site building out for next year. So a lot of the growth is going to be next year, where I think maybe a lot of people are looking for growth this year still with Bitcoin pumping up higher. So that's the only thing I can see there that's maybe causing it to not maybe perform as well on that side of front. Any news on Bitfarms and getting a new CEO? Nothing there. They at least got a great person with Fanny Phillip for the board. Now we just need a CEO there as well. Let's see. We would really appreciate if you teach us how to take profit from your last cycle experience. It doesn't have to be tonight, but please keep this in mind. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, a lot of us, I think, learned from the last cycle, right? A lot of people were thinking that Bitcoin's going to 100,000. It never did. We only got to 69,000. I was holding Hive at that point. I could have had, like, what was it, a 7x gain on it from when I got it. Maybe even more than that, I think. I was getting it like 48 cents back in, what was that, 18, 19. So, yeah, I could have had a lot more gains than I did when I sold it here just recently the past year in November. I was up a couple $1,000s at that point, but I could have like 70,000 gain on it. So yeah, learn from that. We're going to be definitely taking profits this time around. We're not going to be looking for what everybody else is saying. Bitcoin going to 200,000, 250,000, whatever it's going to be. When we're in good profit, we're going to start taking profit, and I'm going to actually take like 5% off on steps, right? So, I saw your previous take on Wolf. Is debt your only concern there? Yeah, I think debt is the only concern that I have right now with them. It's much, much lower than where it was just 9 months ago, right? So they've done a fantastic job there getting that paid down. Other than that, I would like to see them grow more this year as well, but I know they got to pay off the debt, and that's an issue there. But they also have really good electrical cost as well. Eds, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. Let's see. Heavily invested in Riot. Not happy with the Bitfarms nonsense. Take care of your own house that's breaking down before attacking another. Makes no sense to me to try to force more board members in Bitfarms. They're trying to get the board, basically, but I agree with you there, right? You got issues at your own house. You got to deal with those first before you try buying somebody else out. But basically, the reason they're trying to get the board members on there is because maybe those board members can sway the other board members to go along with the deal for whatever reason, right? That's the only reason, so they can buy maybe Bitfarms on the cheap there. Bitfarms provides a lot of good stuff for Riot, right? Diversification, multiple sites across different regions, Argentina, Paraguay, Canada, United States. That all is important there. And they have the experience building those sites out over there. So you get that knowledge there, which Riot right now does not have, working across different countries right now. Let's see. Hey, Seb, maybe a difficult question. On average, we are looking for 4 to 6x on the miners for current prices at the top cycle. Is there any scenario where you decide that it's not happening and we should sell? Oh, gosh. I guess if we see Bitcoin not reaching the numbers that we really were thinking that they might, right? So Bitcoin continues to just trade sideways or go up a little bit here, and sometime next year we're still at 100,000. At that point, I think maybe we'll have to reevaluate things. If Bitcoin's not performing like we would like to see it, and then at the same time we have the network hash rate going up still. So there's a lot of things to keep in mind and look at that point. Let's see here. Amik says, same here, David. I invested heavily in Riot and have been sad for almost 6 months. All AI other miners have pumped in some or other months except Riot. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been doing well here recently. Let's see here. Nikki asks, when will you be on holiday? Never. My holidays are, well, at least not this year. I don't plan on going anywhere. Like I said, my kids are going to be gone with my wife for about a month. So I don't plan on going anywhere. And while they're gone, I'm going to be actually remodeling the upstairs with the kitchen area. So that's going to be taking up a lot of cash and everything else. So this year I don't plan on going anywhere. If I can make it 60 to 70K this cycle, I will take a vacation in the Bahamas next year. There you go. I'll join you then if I can do that as well. James says, please let us know when you start dollar cost averaging out. Yes, I will let you guys know, just like I let you guys know when I am buying miners and things like that. I will let you guys know when I do start selling as well a little bit. I'm not going to be all out at once. It's going to be a slow process. We'll take 5% out here, maybe 2% there, but we will do it. I don't know where the top is going to be. Let's see here. Your patience is amazing. Thank you for your insight. You're very welcome. Greatly appreciate it. Let's see here. Hi, Seb. Don't know if you saw Freedom by 40 on McNally. He posted that he thinks top miners can do 5x from here to end of year. Would you concur? Depending where Bitcoin goes, right? Bitcoin goes up to 150,000 or something like that. Then yeah, I would say the miners can do 5x from here. And his numbers are kind of close to mine, at least what I saw for Cleanspark and Bitfarms. His numbers are pretty close to what I'm thinking as well. Let's see. Which miners besides Cypher that have real growth later in 2025? So you got Cypher, TeraWolf. You also have Cleanspark's growing great in this year, and then into next year they're supposed to get 50 exahash. But after that, you would have Cypher, TeraWolf. Who else is on that? Bitdeer's on that list. And I think that would be it for right now that I know of for sure. There might be others, but I think that's the only ones that I know for sure. Let's see. If you got into 40, yeah. But dollar cost average into it. I didn't get it. Okay, so I should read the question. If you got into the 40-ish cents of Hive, you could have had a 40-ish X on 2021 if you sold at the time. Yeah, but the average wasn't at that point, right? I was buying it at like $3 in 2017, maybe even higher than that. I can't remember now. But my average was like, what's the average on it? Above $1, close to $2, I think, something like that. So that's kind of the way it worked out. Let's see. Woodstock says, good advice, Sebastian. Take profits. You can always buy back. Yep. Thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. More Tim 27. Thank you. Let's see. It was 20ish per share, I believe, in 2021. You're talking about Hive there. Yeah. And then they also did a reverse stock split as well in there. That kind of messed up my numbers a little bit as well. Let's see here. I appreciate you, Seb. Thank you. I think last week was the final bottom on BTC under all-time high. Bought heavily last week. As I stated at that time, hope I look smart in 12 months. I think so too. I'm with you on that. I think we were pretty close to the bottom, if we haven't bottomed out completely from the current top here. Home alone. I'll bring the keg. We'll have a party. I can't party. I'm doing floors for $1,500 or 1,500 square feet in my first floor. I'm doing, whole new cabinets, countertops. I'm going to be busy. I don't have time to party. And then I got to do this stuff as well for you guys to track the miners and see what's going on there and then do these. So I will not be partying at all. I'll be busy working. Let's see. Do you think we're going to dip much further? Dip in Bitcoin? I don't think we're going to dip much further from here. We may have a wick on, I don't know. Bitcoin's doing pretty well right now over the weekend here. We're at 63,400 roughly. I don't think we're going to be going back down below maybe 55. I don't think we'll even, I don't know. I don't see it right now. Let's see here. Michael Burry says, Sebastian, it's altcoin season officially. Forget the miners. Hop in Sol and ETH. We may have the rotation happening right now. So, I don't have cash. Geez, I would probably have to sell like all my altcoins right now to get back into the old season. I have some Ethereum, but I'm just holding it right now. I don't have any Sol as well. Let's see. Amik says, tomorrow is going to be interesting since Bitcoin's up 5 to 6%. Let's see how the miners react. Yeah, might be a good day. We'll see. We'll see how they start out at. If they start out in green and then go red, I'm going to be not happy if that happens. Let's see. I believe Wolf is paying a large portion of the debt next week. Yeah, they did state that I think they wanted to pay like $20 million in Q1 or in Q2 to pay that down more. Let's see here. Before and after pick on renovation. If you guys are really interested in seeing that, I will share it with you guys. I do have a before pick on it, and I'll do an after pick as well. Let's see. Emig says, all my money, cash, kidney, liver on Riot. Please pump tomorrow. Let's see. Mawson, so this is MIGI is Mawson Infrastructure or Annie, Sphere 3D. And which one is a better buy? I would honestly have to say, at this point, I would say probably Mawson. Mawson at least has infrastructure that they own, right? They're not doing much with their self-mining, but they do have hosting contracts, and they seem to be increasing their infrastructure as well. So I would say Mawson at this point right now. Let's see. Amik, hope you have a great night, Seb. You too. Thanks for coming in. Mike Murray says, Riot is a trash company, scam artist. If they can do well for the investors, maybe not so, but yeah, they haven't done well here recently. Let's see. Always fun to log onto your live stream. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right. I think I'm caught up with all your guys' questions here. We've been going for about an hour or so. So we'll call it a day here, guys. Again, thank you so much for coming in, and greatly appreciate you guys spending the time here with me. I love talking to you guys with comments and questions and things like that. Greatly appreciate it. We'll see what tomorrow brings us. We'll see if Bitfarms reports tomorrow as well. We'll see if anybody else reports tomorrow. We'll, maybe get some updates from other things. Definitely the saga with Bitfarms and Riot would be nice to get an update on that as well. We'll see how that plays out, and we'll call it a day. But yeah, thank you again so much for coming in to watch this. Greatly appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a great night. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend as well. And then I wish you guys a very prosperous new week here, right? So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.